a nice quick video for you guys detailing, well, the details of the sword and VAldor Silver. So for this, well, this isn't exactly silver, this is more to do with wet blending. I wanted a black recess here just to help delineate the miniature somewhat between his really cool WWE style cherub fighting a snake belt and his upper Imperial Lightning chest piece. Jeez, that was a mouthful. Anyway, so to start off with, I've used black ink on top of the panels. I'm not exactly sure what to call that. The kind of like the panels underneath there. Let's just go with that. When it's still wet, I've used white on top just to run across the highlight to give that instant highlight. Now once this dries, it will dry slightly darker, so we need to allow that to dry and then come in with this stage, pure white, right on the top of the highlight. Hope that wasn't too rambling. So I'm using black ink just in the recesses to help redefine everything, and voila, instant black. So let's have a look at this filigree on the side of his arm. For all the black portions, the cabling, the piping, the black Imperial Eagles on his van braces, just add black ink over the top. So I'm using the loaded brush technique. I've mixed inky darkness and black together, and on the tip of the brush I've just added white. So as you can see, once I start to draw the brush down the surface, it will start to give that instant blend. This is a really nice way of doing an instant blend, and I think it will need a video in and of itself just showing you the technique. But the technique is quite simple in application, but it's hard to master. It's a bit like chess, very easy to pick up, hard to master. So what you need to do is have the base color, so in this case it will be an off black color, in which case it's inky darkness and black in the belly of the brush, and right at the very tip we have white. And when you draw the brush down the surface, more of the underlying color will start to come out through the brush, through the belly, and that's what gives that instant transition, that very nice instant blend we have going on. So if you would like to see a further video explaining this in a bit more depth, please let me know. Indeed, if there's any video tutorials, PDFs, seminars you would like me to cover, please let me know. It's the only way that the videos and PDFs will get made, by letting me know, bugging the hell out of me. So it is worth bearing in mind that I am using a number 2 brush here, Winsor & Newton. Common misconception is to get these fine details you need to use the smallest brush in your collection. No, we need a good belly to the brush. It comes to a very fine point, so we're able to hit those details as and when we need. But the belly of the brush contains the majority of the paint to give us that really nice long brush stroke that we can use for a long time. Another advantage of using a brush this big is that the paint doesn't dry out nearly as quick, because the belly of the brush contains more of moisture, more of the moisture. And you can see I've picked up a bit of hair there on the tip of the brush. I was hoping to get away with that. I'm just highlighting all the filigree marks. Oh, another thing I need to bring up. So don't aim for a perfect transitional blend on the first pass. It's very rare that you get that. Instead, keep manipulating the brush back and forth, and if things are starting to go a bit janky, stop. Allow the paint to dry, because more often than not you'll find that the paint at this stage isn't fully dry and it's still being blended and manipulated in while it's setting. So what we need to do then is just allow it to completely set, and then use either black ink, which we'll see later we'll be using purple inks and blue inks, and then going in with that final white pinprick highlight to draw the attention of the viewer. So that's what I'm doing here. I have the transitional blends. Now I'm going in with a pinprick highlight to really focus the attention of the viewer on these particular portions. Something I noticed that the VAldor artist did was use a purple sheen or blue sheen to the black. I thought this was just such a brilliant idea. I had to steal it. So if you see any good ideas, feel free to steal them, because they're good ideas for a reason. So I'm using purple ink, slightly diluted with water, around 50-50. I'm just running this along the highlighted layers that I've just done, just to give a little bit of pigmentation to the black and the shadow. Once it's dry, I can come back with my initial layer of Inky Darkness, black, and then white on the tip of the brush to re-establish these highlights, these upper highlights. When you apply the purple, it will dull it down slightly, it will knock it down in value. So value is the difference between black and white. By adding a colour, we're naturally just going to knock down the value, because pure white is the highest value colour you could possibly get. So by reapplying those highlights, it just firms up the paint job, and then we could do something nice like this, like adding you can see what I mean by a pinprick highlight, to really draw your eye to those particular areas. For the silver portions of the sculpt, I've used Vallejo steel, just a flat layer. Not going to do anything more complicated than that. This will go on the writ of censure, on his chain by his crotch, and the bolter casing aspects of his guardian spear. Oh, sorry, his Apollonian spear. Okay, I'm rather proud of this next step. Again, if you refer back to the Forge World paint job, again, masterful work. They have a slight purple inflection to the blade up top and a slight blue one at the bottom. So for this, how I went about doing it, I have used scale 75 amethyst and scale 75 cobalt blue. And I've just used them as roughly as you just saw then. For this next stage, I've used Vallejo magnesium, which is a very, very dark grey metallic colour. I'm just putting that down flat to give that, well, it's a three-tone transition. So you have the purple, you have the amethyst, you have the amethyst, which is the purple, you have the cobalt blue, and then you have this dark black contrast. I've taken pure steel from Vallejo, which is from the A range. I'm just edge highlighting the blade. This will give definition to the sculpt, definition to the blade, and something I can work on the highlight a little later. Okay, let's pump up the saturation on that blade, especially the purple and blue portions. So I've taken violet ink from scale 75, the intensity set. I've just added a line. I've knocked off the excess paint from my brush, and so this is a technique called feathering. I'm feathering the paint to where I want it to sit. I'm manipulating the paint and moving it actually on the miniature itself. So I'm just adding some into the blade to give it a darker reflection. Touch here and there to be cheeky. But that needs a further feathering out. So you see how I'm overlaying it on top of the metallic, the steel that we lay down. Giving it that highlight. Okay, let's take some blue ink from the intensity set once again. And I'm just trying to develop the shadow of the blade. So as you can see, I've added a small amount onto the blade. I've knocked off excess pigment from the brush, and now I'm trying to manipulate it on the blade. You can see that little movement I made then. It's me putting the brush in between my little finger just to knock off any excess paint. And this will help control how much paint you have on the brush itself. So you could lick the brush. I would not recommend that at all, but it's a similar method. It's my way of doing it. Since I started using oil paints and the such, very nasty stuff, I don't want to make the mistake of putting it in my mouth at all. So I just use my little finger for any of these kind of brush manipulations. So I've got black magnesium and some of the blue ink, and I'm just reinforcing that blackish shadow. So the blade will need a few tidying touches here and there because I am doing it in front of the camera. I'll put it right up against my face and I'll correct any slight mistakes that I've made when I've been filming this. But look at that sheen. I was not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm very, very proud of that. Again, looking at the Forge World job, such a great job that they've done. Yeah, really happy with how that's turned out. Okay, that's enough self-congratulation for one day. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think genuinely this is one of the videos that you will learn a shed load from, a heap from. So please feel free to share the Patreon on social media. The more people the better, because we can bring you more videos and more rewards. And thank you very much once again. Bye bye.